Hello, comrades. It's Premier Rever, and I am back again, looking down at Neuve Revergrad. And as I came over here, I realized nobody's working on any roads. We need to go crack the whip, get them going, get our new construction area set up so we can start leveling more and planning a little bit more over there. So, who was working on that? You know what? These guys are probably okay to work on. Oh, no, that's right. We have our new. We need to deal with them too, get them some work. But let's assign these guys to that. There we go. So this is going to most likely be a kind of a semi-planning, semi-construction episode. So in the beginning here, I'd like to sort of make sure we're building everything we can, because I didn't pay in fixing all the issues and whatnot last episode. I didn't really look for enough stuff for people to do, right? So even though we're not the most efficient and not much time has passed, in-game time has passed, I did go around the map and think about the distribution and where we're going with all that. We'll get to that in a minute. So there we go. So now we should have this guy over here, and he should be able to work on a bridge, right? Yep. He's kind of our bridge building crew. And then, yeah, see, for all the planning we did, I really have nothing for our normal construction crew to do until these roads get done. No, we did set them to work on this. You know what? We're going to work on that anyway. So maybe we'll get them. I thought I assigned them to do that. So we'll just have them work on this little road here, even though they should be able to do it. It's not like the kind of road you need a lot of roller or paver action. And then hopefully we'll get back over here and get them working on the first building over here. I know it's not the most efficient, and we build our fine thing here. Oh, look, we're done this road as well. So let's go to Przink North. And let's see if we can't assign them a couple roads. And now that that road's done, we can actually... Oh, you know what? Maybe we can complete our dirt road. I'm all lost, aren't I? All right, come on. I keep thinking that this is further away than it is. I've noticed that when I drag, I end up further than I need to go. So yeah, so let's get them to do 2 roads. And then what I'm talking about is we can get them building on things if we just complete. Let's close this. Let's get to the roads. We'll just complete this dirt road, which I didn't do because I didn't want to create another node that would just make more work. So there we go. So now we have a road here, which means within the bounds, do we still have equipment on the way here, or I think we might. We'll see. Let me just assign him and we'll have to come back and check, but they should be able to get to like this building. Yeah. So we'll see what they're missing. I kind of forget what we did with them. They wouldn't be here. Yeah, see, I think that they would have everything they need if they had everything they needed, right? And this will be, as I was saying, mostly a regular construction crew. So the source of gravel is empty. That's a problem. Okay, well, this is why we do these things and check them out, right? So probably the best way to get them gravel, I thought I talked about it. You know what happened is part of the episode I muted by accident. So I didn't necessarily need to close that, but is this a dumper? And I think what I did was when I came back, I didn't do everything I did, if that makes sense at all. So let's get 2 dumpers. Well, do we have dumpers lying around? I don't really want to just keep endlessly buying trucks. What do we have here? Nothing. No dumpers. And I don't think there's any in here, right? What is that? Open haul, yeah. So no extra dumpers. And why do we have... Let's go back to this guy. Did you have a job? So you were a bricks guy at some point that I put on hold. Yeah, why don't we just... If we need another bricks guy, because we realize we don't have bricks, then we'll just buy another bricks truck. But let's go ahead and get two of the bigger dumpers. Just because they fit in those spots real well. And I don't think we're necessarily going to need that much gravel up there, but it doesn't. We can always switch one maybe over to that. I don't know, do we have a dumper in that thing? Okay, well anyway. Let's take this guy and this guy, and we'll move all of these guys up to, well now, these two guys, sorry, these two guys are going to come from here, just because, no, that's the unload. You're going to have to come in here. You're going to have to come in here. And then your guys are all going to head over. See, I think it's too far away, and it's really not. And you guys are going to head over to here. Here. Probably could have just copied a route, huh? Yeah, we might almost switch it. Unload anything. Nah, we'll make it. I'm starting to feel more like unload anything is the right way to go, but since I've done it this way for so many decades in the game. You know what? And I took that guy off of gravel, not stone, didn't I? Yeah, wait, go. All right, so start. So we should start getting some, oh, did I miss that one? Get some gravel up here. And this guy, I don't think, yeah, we could use another open haul. Oh, that's a dumper. So do we still have equipment coming up here? It says doesn't have a dumper. Oh, mixing concrete mixer. So we already have one. We already have two dumpers up here. That's good. And then we'll get this open haul up here, and that'll be good. And we could probably use another bus. And I thought we had. Did we use them up? I think we have a bus. No, we have a bus right here. Let's go back to here real quick. Oh, that's right. What is going on? View area where you can't get to. Really? Oh, that's right. He's. You know what, let's go and send him. He must be trying to go that other way for some weird reason, even though the roads aren't here. You know what? I got too much stuff right in my view. What are you doing? All right, let's. Geez, I'm all spun around again. I'm having a bad disorientation. Yeah, you know what? Why don't you go? Can you go to this depot here? Yeah, all right. Get out of that depot, because maybe I can send you around. We won't need to buy another bus. Now, what are you? Oh, you're just a dumper I decided to click on, I guess, or I clicked through the screen or something. So good. So we'll have another bus on the way. We'll have an open haul on the way. We really probably want another open haul for over here. I think it's always good to have two. And then they were yelling at us that we don't have concrete mixers. And we definitely want the bigger one. And I definitely want two of those if we can. Now we really should talk about either another construction office or a depot up here. But all right, so bus, open haul, dumpers. Yeah, we probably really don't need that bulldozer in the way. So we're not going to be doing many roads. All right, that's good enough for now. As long as they can, yeah, the source of gravel is empty. How about the electronic? Yep. No, we didn't get electronic components in there. I thought we saw the truck coming up here. That's a bad sign, because if that truck's didn't drop anything off, and I know we fixed it to hold the electronic components at the end there. Food factories, warehouse, unload, mechanical components. That's the wrong truck. I thought we had electronics components coming over here. So let's go take a look at our electronics components warehouse and see the related vehicles. So you're going to Duncy. Okay, I think this is another thing that I did, but then I forgot. So I'm going to put him on Electronville Warehouse. Yeah, what happens to me in part is that every single time when I end the live stream, what I do is I usually put it on mute, just so, I don't know, if I creak my chair or whatever, you know, if I make obnoxious noises, you guys don't have to hear it. There we go. Yeah, don't wait. Good. So anyway, then I always forget on the next day, which this episode's being done on Monday, so it goes up on Tuesday, and yesterday's was Sunday, so I recorded quite a bit without actually doing that. So good. So that guy will stay busy running back and forth, and I think for the minute anyway, the problem with you can really just spend all your time going from construction crew to construction crew, like without ever getting anything else done when you get a lot of these guys going and just checking, because you're just constantly checking on them to make sure everything's okay. Speaking of everything okay, good. We're making electronics. So that's going to be, now I'd like to start what I would call the episode in truth, in the sense of we want to get some of these electronic components distributed. And I would like to pause again. I know some people don't like the pausing because they feel like I'm not getting anything done, and I can understand that. But at the same time, if I don't, things go haywire, right? And then guys just are sitting there doing nothing, because I want to spend the next 10 minutes with you guys talking about the plan, and I don't want to. It's very hard to sit there and break up that conversation 15 times in order to describe what, like it just makes the video so distorted. In any event, I had gotten a suggestion a while back that we should put a distribution for different things near menu button, and I absolutely agree. And I think I'd like to take that to the next level and just, for, like I said, the next few minutes, talk about the grand plan that will in some ways be the final plan of this map, right? Like if we ever did everything on this, that would definitely sort of be the end. Hopefully they'll come out with some more content. I don't know what we would do if they don't come out with like a fair amount more content as far as different new buildings and things like that go. But in any event, what I'm thinking of is we put some distribution centers, and I'm picturing that we would take a rail, oops, not the rail, we'll take one of these rail cargo stations, which has, let's zoom in on it, which has like 4 different, possible buildings that could be attached to it. And then we would take, that's the economy, we would take a warehouse, probably, I'm picturing 4 different warehouses. If we look at what a warehouse holds, it holds, what do you call it? And this doesn't have to, it holds 10 different things. Now, we're not going to need to hold crops, right? So a lot of these things we're not going to need to hold, but we're going to need to hold 5 of them, right? So I don't know that we would have 4 of those warehouses, but within the bounds of holding enough stuff, one of my things that I've realized as we have moved forward is, let's close this, as we've moved forward is like, this is just overkill. Like you really don't need 360 tons of crops. Now maybe this is a little bit not, it's okay because we'll have a bunch more chemical things one day, but so that's not the best thing to point at. But like when we did this construction, we really don't need that many construction supplies in this area. Or, if we were to do food, we don't need to supply to the surrounding cities with trucks. We don't need like a full warehouse just of clothing or alcohol. But anyway, we would need alcohol, food, clothes, electronics would be like the 4 things that we would need. So maybe we have, what I'm thinking of is we would have like the things that people need. So we would maybe need to attach like get rid of this meat refrigeration storage, and we'd put a food refrigeration storage, and then we would have, in these distribution areas, we'd have another rail cargo or rail unloading that would allow us to do maybe some more of the the construction components potentially, like in other words mechanical components and stuff like that. But we'd have to see. We'd work out the first one and see what worked well, and I think we'd probably do it right here, in other words. So we have 3 cities that all need food and electronics and all that stuff. So I'm thinking that in one of the next episodes we'll plan on having a distribution and we'll sort of work out what we want to do. Like, what do we want to do with all of this? I'm not going to necessarily knock it all down, but I may end up saying, well, you know what, this is just causing problems with the rail over here, and we just really don't need that much stuff there. And over time, we would just try to use this stuff up or get rid of it, and then just build a more sane system for construction purposes. You know, I don't know how much construction we're even going to do over here, but as we do more constructions, you know, I'm finding I think we're better off. Maybe we have. I think we're better off just bringing either by rail or truck, like we're doing with those mini. Because the constructions eventually, I don't want to say they get abandoned, but where is our mini? You know, like we did over here, where we just sort of have a mini thing. At some point, you know, we might off of this have cement and bitumen and asphalt and concrete, right? So I mean, we could expand this in certain areas and you know, utilize the gravel distribution a little bit better and actually make bitumen and concrete. But we don't need these massive storages. This is working out just fine, right? This is plenty. If we need to up it, we could send a few more trucks while we're doing construction. Really, in some ways, until you get real big, the trains are overkill, which is good. It makes them powerful. So, okay. So without getting into all the details, even though I tried to give you an idea of what a distribution area would be, we'd mostly be at first focused on the things that people need, right? Which is pretty limited. And then we would have littler, well, maybe full-size trucks, but we'd have the trucks running out to each one of these towns. So we would have a distribution point here. We tried to make it very train efficient, right? We would bring all the stuff in by train and then out by truck. And then we would come over, you know, the train, picture a big circle of distribution where that train would top off whatever it was carrying into here, go back onto the tracks, and then it would come up. And I'm thinking of another distribution kind of thing right in here that would provide to Energenisk and Kameen, right? So we would have another kind of distribution area right here. And then at some point, I think we'd have to, I put a Rever distribution because the name can only be so long, but we would need to get another little distribution thing here at that point as well. So this would be not necessarily part of the loop. It would be like a little bit of a spur, but it's no reason a train can't go in there, dump off its stuff, come back out the other track. So we could decide whether we put like another track over to here or not. Because if you think about it, otherwise he'll have to come all the way back here and then go through there. And I'm thinking that, you know, we're going to have oil here, and I don't want these tracks to get too clogged up with trains, and I don't think it would be unreasonable one way or the other to get a train over to this tunnel, or even maybe bypass the whole tunnel altogether, right? But in other words, follow this road with a train. You can picture it. So that would be, you know, you'd come down here, turn around, go back up, go through the tunnel, come back over to here, and then there would be, right here, I'd branch off and I would put, here, let me just do this temporary. Picture a train that comes, yeah, it's not going to let me do it temporary, but you can picture a train that heads up this way over this hill to another distribution over here. And that distribution would do some more buildings that I'll get into in a minute. And then our train, one way or the other, would come around along the river, right? And then we'd have another distribution up here, which would be the distribution for Neuve Revergrad and more work over here. And then at that point, we would turn it back maybe around the back side of Revergrad, like bring it in here and who knows, come back and tie in this way. Or this could just be a stub and we use our rail corridor. So again, the train would come down here, drop off stuff, backtrack, and then go into our rail corridor and go around. Now we might end up with another distribution for Neuve Revergrad, but in thinking about everything I want to do in this area, I don't necessarily want to take up the room for a distribution here, because I picture a lot of people being transferred back and forth by train and bus, and to try to stick a whole proper distribution in the middle here would be kind of tough. So I realize that leaves Electron City, or Electrical Town, I guess I called it, here. a little bit in the lurch, because we wouldn't have a distribution rate near it. But it's not that big a deal. We might be able to do that. Or, as I said before, we're going to get rid of all of these people, right, and move them into Neuve Revergrad, if that makes sense. So, in other words, we might just start busing people all the way over to here. This was pretty much deliberately built in a place that was sort of out of the way of the train tracks, and this is almost like construction town in my thinking. This was here to get the constructions. I needed people over here before I could go much further, and I didn't want to. I want to be smart about the way we build Neuve Revergrad. There you go. So how does that sound? So we'll, as a general gist of it. And I'm getting into all of this because as I sat there thinking about how do we distribute these electronic components, I would like to start, really thinking about what's temporary, what's longer term, how do we get them out of here? Could we start building something just, we might not have it in place today, but, start building something pretty quickly that would get, even if we're not doing it by train right away, that would get these things distributed to their final location, and just start. We have a ton of distribution issues, I guess you could say. We could really be doing it better, and I think rather than interfere too much with what's happening, which is working, we could sort of start building a parallel system that includes new buildings that are just well laid out. I mean, things developed over time. We put in farming ski, and then we plopped in Chemsaw, and then we I think we did Lumbriska, so we sort of plopped these things in and never went through our distribution again. So, having said all of that, it sort of led me into thinking about, what are we going to do long term to improve things like the food factory being here, not being very efficient. We're going to build new, glorious industrial areas, right? So I went around and I looked, between looking at the menus and looking at what we're doing where, I decided that, Chemsaw is fine making chemicals. I would redo this. I don't think I'm going to. If we ever did a new map, I would definitely do it more efficiently. But we have a lot of room here to put in probably as many chemical factories as we'd ever need. And, we can decide on what we're actually going to export. But for the most part, I'm thinking that we export, the most expensive items. And chemicals are up there, so we might do that one day. If we just were to come over here, you can't sort by, what are the more expensive things that we could sell would be, let's see, what is the most expensive? 21,000 for chemicals. Of course, that's a big one. But we would need some chemicals for clothes. So we could definitely get chemicals exported. We have the capability with this. And again, it won't be the most efficient, but we can make a lot of chemicals here. So I'm not worried about redoing chemicals. But if we were talking about mechanical components, are pretty expensive, but electrical components, maybe even plastics, electronics, these higher end kind of final product kind of things. So, having said that, I do want to improve all of the industries, and there's really not any other industries going on over here, believe it or not. For all of its efforts, we're making wood back here. We're making, a bunch of crops. This farming ski is really just supporting these crop fields. And then, all of this down here is just construction stuff, which is really not necessary for the, long-term production in a sense. So we got our chemicals here, and as we go around, what I'm thinking of is, let's zip down to Revergrad. Revergrad's doing a few things. Revergrad is making our meat, our alcohol. It's got a food factory. We have a power plant, and we have a brick factory, and we have clothing and fabric. So what I'm thinking of doing is, in the long term, we don't necessarily need all of this construction stuff right here, and that will give us a little more room in and out of Importska. But what I would like to do is bus people from Revergrad over to like a clothing manufacturing area somewhere up over here, right? So we would take and get rid of these two buildings, or 3 or 4 buildings, and we would make a nice big clothing / fabric kind of area here. So that would get this out of Revergrad. In addition, what I renamed farming, or whatever I'd called it, the farms here, and I just renamed it vodka. So what we would do is, with some of the food that's here, we would send it over to vodka, and we would get rid of some of these fields that are close to here and end up with a number of distilleries over in this area, and then we would have the different people go work at the distilleries. As far as the food factory goes, I mean, we got 6 of them being built over there, so we're going to get rid of the food factory. I would move this farm to where I wrote new farm loc over here, so we might even put more farms if we ever needed them. I don't see us needing them right this minute, but I think this is generally flat enough land, certainly with the new leveling capabilities. We could you can't build on these rocks, but I think we could do some more with farms over here. We might have to redo what we have, but you get the idea. I think we might be able to flip them around and then make farming central here. We'd have crops coming out of there, which may come directly over to this by train, right? Just like a little train route back and forth, just to keep the alcohol factory going. And the alcohol is a pretty slow process. So anyway, I think you get the idea there. Now, because we're producing crops over here, what I thought of is we might do like a cattle town over here. Now, whether we bring people out of Kameen, which might be a good idea, or whether we just have a whole separate town, we're not too far away from new farm loc, again, to have like a train, or maybe even use our existing tracks and bring into a meat producing area over here, right? So that takes care of, when you think about it, everything that was going on here except for the bricks and the power, which is, it's not really hurting anything to have this power over here with the coal mine. It's not the most efficient because this coal mine's so weak, but hey, it got us going in the very beginning. So this means we have to deal with bricks. So what I did was I went around the map and I looked for a good potential place that had a bunch of coal and made Bricksville up here. So if you look at where we're just kind of on the opposite side of Revergrad, Nueve Revergrad, on the other side of the river. And this is why I have like distribution 2 over here, because I think even though these mountains are here, we can get rid of them and get distribution into here. And then if we put like another town, just on the other side of the river kind of thing, we could distribute to some people that lived here. And coal mines. So let's see, if you look, we have some pretty decent coal up on this mountain here as a general. See some more over here. So I think we could have a series of coal mines along here feeding into a proper bricks factory. So that takes care of like everything Revergrad would do, right? And then we'd have a ton of bricks and also like plenty of excess coal. And these coal mines, this is actually a better coal area than this one. So I talked about power plants down here, and we'll have a couple coal mines, and they'll produce a good amount of coal, right? And then, yeah, so there you go. So we'd have power plants. So if we had any excess coal here, we would be able to deal with it. But if we had excess coal here, which we almost certainly will, we're not going to need that many bricks, right? Like, there's almost a guarantee that whatever I do in Bricksville will be overkill. All right, so having said that, you know what? I didn't put a... So I definitely think we want our steel mills like right here. So let's just type slowly because it doesn't like when you type fast. Steel mills. And the reason for that is we have a coal mine right nearby. We have a bunch of iron over here. Right, a bunch of iron here, then a bunch of iron in this whole area. So we can train in a bunch of iron over to these steel mills. We have coal, like I said, a close by coal mine that we can feed right in. And in addition, we'll have the excess coal coming from here, and we could also, if we really need needed to. There's distribution 2. Where's bricks? You know, if we had coal mines here, we could pretty easily bring the coal in, you know, from the back door, so to speak, or what is the back door now? Does that make sense? And now another thing to say is, if we look at, which one is it? Cement needs coal, right? If we come over here, prefab, concrete, yeah, cement. So cement needs coal, so it's, I built a cement making town or wood like over here. Now whether we have, you know, I think it's getting too far away from Revergrad, but we could try to maybe bus people here, but we might end up with, you know, that's why I have distribute here. So when you think about it, we'd bring coal into here, so cement is closest to where this coal mines would be, and I mean we'd have a series of different coal mines, and again we could distribute however we needed to through rail corridor S here, and that would bring that here. But it would also need gravel, right? So we would have like a new quarry, gravel quarry town. And the reason I picked this is because it's relatively flat. It's not like a really steep mountain, but we just have a ton of little places that we could put quarries in all the way around here and get, you know, this would just be gravel, another gravel town kind of thing, another commune in a sense. Commune number 2. And in order to make prefabs, we would need cement and gravel. So that is why we would have cement right over here. So we would bring our cement over to there. We could have its own special train line, just bringing cement into the prefabs. We'd have quarries to feed the quarries, the prefabs. The cement needs gravel too, so we would, you know, bring that over there. And that was a lot to say. Last thing, just because we have iron here, but really what we need for the mechanical components is the steel. And I'm thinking that we try to keep that somewhere in this area. We might end up like putting it over here if it makes sense, though I don't really see a good, with all these mountains, good way to do trains. But I'd kind of like to get the mechanical components being made by people from Neuve Revergrad. So I want to see how well the training, and by that I mean sending by train the workers, is. Like if that's real successful over here, you know, this is not, when you look at the distance there, this is not that much further, right? Especially if we cheated it over this way. So we might end up trying to just send people from Neuve Revergrad over there. And if not, we'll have to see. We might not build that there. But it certainly is close to our steel thing. So we'll see. And then the only other thing I think we would talk about is I had plastic ton. And we have an oil field here, so we also have a chemical train that's already coming up to here. And I think it would be not that big a stretch to, you know, just get that train to have another stop. Like we could go right through there and have them come around here and drop off plastic to plastic tin, right? Or I mean, sorry, chemicals, so we could start making plastic, if that makes sense. Do we need, yeah, we do need chemicals for plastic. But anyway, and we'd have the oil, wouldn't have to be a big oil field, but we might have another oil refinery kind of thing up here. And that oil refinery, we could have rails coming out the back here as far as making a bit more fuel. I don't know how big we'd even make one. Don't plan on getting rid of this oil refinery. And this is hardly at its max at this point, but you know, so we'll see. It's a lot of planning and a lot of talking and a lot of things that have to work out. And I'm not intending to dictate that this will be the only and best plan. You know, things may change as we learn more, but at least it gives us an idea of where I might be going with things in order to get, you know, like some idea of what I would do to distribute things, right? Like I'm more worried about, well, if we start building another, if you know, I don't want to necessarily build a distribution here if I know I'm going to put towns here, and then I could just send things back. So I might have missed something. If you guys noticed that I missed something as far as things that we're not making now, obviously I didn't talk about asphalt and concrete. I mean, you know, just because I consider them more construction supplies. It doesn't mean that we can't, you know, have like the export of concrete, I guess. But, you know, for me, that's more of a, of a construction thing, like, you know, same thing with the asphalt. Like, I don't really picture those as being something we would necessarily, or stone, we wouldn't necessarily export those, right? You know, we're going to go for the higher end things like exporting our electronics and exporting our electrical components, maybe even, though I think we're going to use a lot of those in building new rail systems. Well, there we go. Boy, that was a lot. I feel out of breath in a sense. So I hope all that made sense. I hope I didn't speak too quickly. Let's put time forward again, and let's talk about what we need to do to get some electronics going, right? And I think the reason I went through all of that was because I'm just going to slap in electronics like wherever we can, right? So where are we getting electronics now, I think, is just to, yeah, see, do we want to, and this is the kind of thing that's just going to be a little painful for me because, you know, we have electrical components that we're paying for over here, and then we have electronics that we haven't allowed for any room, right? So what I think I'd like to do is maybe we need to take care of both of those things so we don't keep paying for electrical components and we don't keep paying for electronics. So let's make a little room in here, even though it might be an issue. We don't need a ton of them down here, I don't think, right? So 2 clicks, 10%. All right, so we're going to have to get them to there. Let me shrink this up so we know Gateway Love, and then from there we'll distribute to the 2 towns here like we are with some of the other things. But let's at least get them going to there. Now here we have this, right? So we have Importski Warehouse, and look, we do have it, and we're not purchasing them, but I don't think we're really using that, but we will need to get them over to here as well, right? So that's good. Now yeah, see, we're not really distributing from here, so at some point, can we do 10%? No. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, and electrical components, are we dropping those off? Or what are we purchasing things here? No. Are we purchasing, well, we'd be doing it with dollars. No, we're not purchasing anything here, so yeah, we must be purchasing like the electronics from right in here. So we're gonna have to get that distributed as well. So that's fine. Let's see. So where else would we have? Yeah, we don't really have any warehouses up this way. We have the Gulag warehouse. We got more than enough and we're buying electronic components here. Is anybody even using that? Maybe Lambriska was. Let's put this one off to this side so that it's, because what I'm thinking of for now is that, can we just use this one? Yeah, I mean, it would cut down on the number of chemicals, but let's give that to 2 pluses to go to 10%, right? So that we can store some electronics in here, and then we can also, I think we're already bringing electronic components there. And then we'll distribute the rest of the way from there, right? Now the other thing is, we just have to remember this, but you know, we need to get the electronics into each of the stores, so this one will just go get them from here, right? So I've learned that trying to get a truck to do 2 different things is just a nightmare. So it would really be nice if you could say, okay, well, here's our shopping center. Why don't I send a truck to go get electronics and then a truck to go get, I don't know, clothes or whatever, right? But it really doesn't work out that well that way. So this guy is just purchasing everything, which is sort of a waste. So let's see. Let's get him. Let's start distributing from wherever we can. So here is we're talking closed covered hall. Now, do we want? We don't necessarily need the biggest. I don't know if there's that much fuel savings. Let's just get this guy one of these for right now. Because well, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't have done that. But, all right, so you're going to come over and you're going to load up electronics. And I think your job is going to be to take this to 2 places. Let's close this for a second. So you're going to come to here and drop off electronics, and then you're going to come to, so you're going to try to take care of that store. Hopefully we have enough storage. We'll have to see how that goes. And then you're going to come down to here, and hopefully that's not too much driving. Like, oops, I didn't want this. Yeah, I wish it would keep adding them to the end, right? Like unless you do that, it just keeps inserting them after the first one. All right, so you're going to unload, and then you're going to come back. So hopefully that's not too much driving for him. That he can't get back to here. I don't know how fast we're selling electronics out of like this store, right? All right, so that's covered. So let's start him, right? He's not going to wait any place. That's fine. So let's get, so that's covering Electrical Town. And what we need to probably do is, as we do this, yeah, this is because he should be delivering stuff pretty quickly. Let's do purchase. Approve. And we need to think about getting more stuff distributed up here. I don't know if we're going to have time in this episode, but there you go. So this guy, yeah, I don't know how fast we're going to cut through those. Hopefully not too quickly. And we do have, I know I sent them right into here and not waiting, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. See how well it works out. We'll hopefully remember to check before too long. Good. So now we shouldn't be buying electronics. So let's save this guy. And now we need to get another truck. Let's get a bigger one this time. Oh, you know what we have? Oh, that's an open haul. Covered haul. Now this guy is going to do the same kind of thing. And hopefully he'll be able to bring enough of these. You know what? This guy, this is the guy, right? You know what? You really, yeah, you probably should wait until you're loaded, huh? Yeah, I don't want you running around empty. So hopefully that doesn't cause too big a traffic jam. But this guy is going to have the same thing, and I missed that. A lot of times you click on the buttons and it doesn't seem to take. Alright, so you're going to do the same thing where you're going to come up here and wait until you're loaded with electronics. That's not electronics warehouse, is it? Oh, yes it is. Okay, never mind. I've got disoriented once again. Alright, so good. Yeah, we almost might want to add a parking spaces if we're going to have a bunch of trucks coming in here. But we're not. This is, these particular trucks are just temporary. All right, so let's close this. And then where do you need to go? We need to get them. So we got Chemsol covered. Now what we want to do is get this one covered, right? So, and then we'll have you go to Revergrad after you go there, even though that's getting into, it's a lot of driving. So I don't know, we might end up with two separate trucks, right? So let's take a look at this. Do we make that? Yeah, 8% is what we settled on, and that's fine. So, all right, so now you're going to unload. Oh, we did the same thing again. There we go. Yeah, go to Gateway Love first. And then, yeah, unload. And then here you want to unload as well. There, so at least we have stuff heading down that way, right? So you can start. And you want to wait there, right? Yep. Okay, so hopefully that'll get electronics to here. Now what we need to do, and I really wish you could tell these trucks to do things a little bit different, in the fact that I wish you could just tell them to hold this certain quantity, right? So what we want to look for is, I guess we can use a truck to, where's the other store? No, that's the kindergarten. Did we get, no, we do have another store. That's the grocery store. Okay, that's the shopping, small store. Okay, so what we want to do is get somebody to stop by the small store and then come into here, right? Now, what are you doing? You do meat. Yeah, that's what this guy's doing with the meat. So what we want to do is let's get, you know, a truck. So this guy would hold 2.5 tons. I want a truck that can hold enough to fill this up with one trip, right? Well, 10 tons. We're not going to get that, but in other words, we can use a good amount. So let's hold this guy off and this guy off, and then there's our depot down here. We don't have any American options now. All right, so we want a covered haul. You know, this guy could do 5.6 tons of electronics. Yeah, it's fine. I don't know why in my life I just find that I always want to building on fire. So let's close that. So now you are going to go from here, and then you're going to come to here, and then you're going to come to here. And now you can't really wait to get loaded, or else you're going to have a problem. All right, so let's see. I'm hoping a lot more people. All right, so we're going to unload. A lot more people are going to use. Oh, I did this again. Gosh darn it. You'd think I would learn eventually, wouldn't you? So let's select this. Oh, no. Wait, I'm sorry. I did want it that way. Yeah, small store first. Unload. Unload. And electronics. Not that I hope you have anything else in there to unload, but and hopefully we can get him to wait here, right? And hopefully that works out that we sell a lot more electronics or go down through our stock quicker here. If not, we might have to switch that guy around, right? So you can get started, even though, well, no, you can get started. Now what we need to do is come over to here, and when it comes to the purchasing, so we're not going to purchase electronics anymore. That's done with dollars. All right, so hopefully that works out. I mean, he should be pretty quick to come here. Now, we were purchasing them there? No, but he's already got a bunch of electronics down here from whatever we were doing to purchase originally. So I'm hoping that he gets on his route pretty quickly. And then we have a depot over here. Let's buy another covered wagon from this one. I hope that wasn't a building being destroyed. Nope, fire extinguished. Very good. Now you need to come here, and then you're gonna have, yeah, let's hopefully that's the small store, and then we still have a small store here, right? Yep. And then you're gonna come over to the shopping center. Yeah, we should have built more parking spaces into that shopping center. Live and learn. All right, so we're gonna have unload. And this might be asking too much, but again, I'd rather start out a little on the slow side. And if we need more trucks to do this well, we'll see. But I'd like to see our electronics imports get down to nothing. There we go, right? Unload. And I think I'm just going to have him, well, you know, for now, let's see if he can wait here. And hopefully that works out that he waits there, right? All right, so you can start. Now, do we have, let's just make sure, double check. Yeah, we have no electronics there right this minute, so that's a bit of a problem, but well, that's a big problem. All right, so now we have this guy, and we should have a depot right there. One more covered haul. And this should handle it if they can make the rounds quick enough, this should handle it. Another building is on fire. Good Lord Almighty. All right, there we go. So we're going to load. I don't really want you to wait. And let's make sure this guy is set up, right? So we don't have to come back. Yep, electronics. So we should be, hopefully pretty shortly here, dropping off some electronics. And then let's, you're going to need to go to the shopping center here, right? And then, yeah, we don't have a shopping center. We have the store here. And then head up to Lambriska's store or shopping center. Yep, there we go. Now this one I think am going to just keep rolling. Might not be the most efficient, but we don't want to unload. Or we don't want load. There we go. All right, so now, yeah, this guy I'm just going to keep, you know what, I did that backwards, but you know what, that's fine. Yeah, unload, 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 start. All right, so now what I'd like to do, because we're getting, you know, towards the end of the episode, is let me just pause time and keep an eye on it for a few minutes. And then I'll report back to you, right? Like, let's give them, and I'll probably go around real quick and get our construction guys working again. But I'm assuming, you know, like before we assume that this is going well, the good news is, look, we still have components. So, you know, in other words, let me give it 10 minutes type thing, and then we'll come back and see if they're actually distributing. And as part of that test, what we should do is look. What's today's date? Yeah, April 23rd. So that's far enough into the month to be practical. So we can see 10,000 in electronics, right? Oops, I didn't mean to close that from there. And then if we look at the, yeah, that was, did we click Western? No, like 84,000. So we want to see that come down, right? So yeah, let me give it 10 minutes and then I will be right back, or whatever makes sense, that we can actually see if our distribution worked or not. And like I said, I may kick some of the production guys in the butt while I'm there. All right, see you guys in a second. Okay, guys, I've been watching what's happening and paying a little bit more attention to the numbers, so to speak. And what I think is that we're making plenty of electrical components. And eventually what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these guys, like these guys are going to be all the way down by Importska, right? Which is, if you remember, all the way over here. So I think what I may end up doing is after he drops off here, having him export. But I don't want to do that until we're sort of flooded, because I think the problem we're going to have is, you know, we need to get more of them in here, but we don't use them very quickly. If we were to look back at a month where we fully purchased things, so let's do like last month, we pretty much did most of April buying stuff. And if we could go back 2 months, which is what I looked at, the dates changed since I was playing time. You know, even if we allow for it, we were doing like less than 1 electronics per month from the Soviet republics. And then if we look at the Western countries, I think it was like 4 in March. You know, this is like basically 3 electronics now. So we're talking about like 5 electronics components. And if we look at how many are in our warehouse at this moment, we're definitely going to get backed up. So I feel pretty comfortable in saying that, you know, these 2 trucks are definitely going to get over to our warehouses quickly enough. But there was another problem we had. So in other words, we'll keep an eye on it, but I think our little distribution system's going to work fine, mostly because, you know, we just use so few in actuality. So we'll see about maybe getting these guys to wait, like, you know, but I don't want to clog up this store with just the electronics. But again, it's a reason for maybe redoing some things in the future and getting, you know, parking spaces for the trucks near these stores. So in any event, the other problem we had is, you know, I'm going to blame it on the engineers or the scheduler. You know, we'll send him off to the gulag, but we forgot to set this train back in motion. So we're actually kind of running into a bit of a fuel emergency. And now, why are you not importing? Why do you not have bitumen? Load bitumen. but you're not actually putting any bitumen in you. Is there a particular reason for that? Well, we are attached, right? Now if we click on this, yeah, there's bitumen. Load bitumen. Why is bitumen not going in? Do you need to have a track going through these things? I didn't think I did in the past. I mean, if nothing else, you'd think you'd load that one up. So why are you not loading bitumen? Load, wait until loaded. Well, this is a bit of a problem, isn't it? I don't know what else to do. Well, maybe I'll end the episode here. If somebody has a thought as to why this guy isn't loading. Fuel storage is still going up. Let's see, do we have fuel? Is it taking... See, part of our problem is that I think I'm bringing fuel into here. Yeah, but at least now we have fuel flowing, but I did notice we didn't get that train going. Now, I'm kind of concerned as to why he's not... If the vehicle's in a station, you can't wait until loaded, right? Like that's definitely here, and it's loading. Wait, bitumen. All right. Well, I think, like I said, I'll end the episode here. Maybe I'll figure it out in between the episodes, or if you guys have a comment. We can't endlessly keep on building storage tanks, but I'm not quite sure actually why this guy won't load. Let's see. Can we send him back out? Yeah, go back out. And then come back in. Let's just try that one time. See what happens here. Do we not have... Here, let's just check something else. Let's close. Move that over there. Let's... let me look here, just here. Well, it doesn't show me in and out anymore, does it? So once you attach, it doesn't show you in and out. But, you know, this is saying, if we click on the here, it says resources available from there is bitumen. Is it because I'm trying to do 2 in the 1? Which is a major pain, you know, like that didn't reset it. So, you know, in other words, is it because I'm trying to do both? I would think that it would be smart enough to load either one, but maybe it's not. That's a problem. All right, well, we'll have to see. Like I said, if you guys have a suggestion, if you know that you can't do both in one, I have no idea. The only other thing I could think of is, do I need tracks further so that the train could pull fully in? Is that the problem? Is that this isn't going in far enough? Because I have no problems with at least getting it extended a little bit, right? When we should try to figure this out before we have more fuel crises. Maybe we just need to put a few more trucks on shipping out of here, right? All right, well, anyway, let me know if you guys have experience with this problem. Otherwise, we're going to have to figure it out relatively soon. And again, I hope you've enjoyed the episode. We got to look at what was the overall maybe plan, and I welcome, you know, any comments or suggestions on, you know, expanding our building out, you know, further and further, and getting each of our industries, you know, to be a proper industry like we're doing with our food, without going nuts about it, but making it a nice, truly self-sufficient in more ways than one, right? We got our distribution talked about, so expect, you know, if I don't get a lot of comments, which I'll probably start making at least one distribution thing before I get a lot of comments on this video. So I think I would start right here maybe in the next video, and we'll start laying out what one of our distribution points would look like, and making sure we get, you know, all the parts and pieces in there, even if we can't do it right away, right? It'll be a bit of a, until everything is available by rail, it'll be a little bit weird to have these distributions. They won't be able to be fully supplied, but that's okay. You know, we'll see. So we're going to keep working on distribution and keep working on our constructions, and probably have a planning episode or two, like I said, in the next couple. All right. Well, I don't want to go on too long. So, but I hope you guys have enjoyed the video, and I will hopefully talk to you tomorrow. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.